there are so many more coming across, not at our crossing points, like at Eagle Pass, for instance. They go north. They have drones, the thermal drones, like these very expensive drones. We worked out of an area called Quamada, and then north of there. And so anybody that doesn't want to be checked doesn't go to Eagle Pass. They just go 20 miles north, and we would be set up on the river, and it looked like like alien spaceships coming across. I mean, that's literally kind of at night, probably fires and who knows what else. They'll probably be killing each other over loaves of bread and boxes of crackers or a can of tuna or whatever happens to. We just don't have the money in the bank to bankroll all these people. Big time. I mean, like, we run into that all the time with our advertising and stuff. And we did a 2-for-1 thing and what our intention was for, okay, somebody pays their range fee and they can bring a friend for free. All right. Mm-hmm. But Facebook's algorithm picked that up as a gun sale or something, and so we get they smashed my ad and censored my account and everything else, and I had to go through this whole appeal process, and they're like, oh, okay, we didn't realize that's what you were doing, but it's just like little bitty things, and if you mess up, like doing a YouTube video, if you show a weapon on YouTube and you don't show that it's clear and all that stuff, they can hammer you for that. I mean, just stupid stuff, but that's the world we live in, man.
I feel you. I was the same boat, because some subject that I touched, and I was like, hey, it's just information. It's just educational. It's not like my opinion. There was somebody else's opinion, and I had to go through appeal, and they say, oh, okay, you're good then. You have to put a disclaimer. So that's why I had to put a disclaimer on the bottom of my description of like, hey, this is the guest opinion, not per se mine opinion.
Yeah.
So I had to be careful, because I had like 2 warnings, 1 strike already. I wasn't not even 10 episodes in.
Really?
So yeah, so I was like,
what'd they hit you for?
I was talking about 2020 stuff and stuff that happened to people that we know of. Mm-hmm. And that's like, those were facts. Those are my neighbors, they had heart issues, and they had start having problems. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, but you cannot. They told me, like, I cannot tell people what to do with their health. And it's like, if you watch the video, I didn't say nothing about it.
Right.
I say, on my opinion.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh. And they let it go. Yeah. But I had to go through like 3 weeks on that, like back and forward. Well, so I know your pain. So
that's the problem. You can't enslave an educated society. And that's the idea.
Right.
If you keep people stupid, then they can be enslaved. They can, but people that know what's going on, you can't enslave people that are on top of things, And so that's their purpose. They want to keep everybody dumbed down and uneducated and uninformed, and they only want you to have their opinion of things. That way they can shape the course of society, and it's the way that works.
It is incredible. I'm still baffled. Like we cannot even speak about subjects or topics nowadays. It's just like you have to walk on eggshells. I mean, you just tippy toe everywhere. You have to be careful what you're saying and why.
Well, this all happened in 1938 too. Exactly the same way.
Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah. I remember the brown shirts.
Right.
They were like, it's crazy. I mean, it's like we're repeating the same thing over and over. Mm-hmm. It is. I tell people, like, if you look back in history, we're repeating the same thing. Yeah. 100 years later, we're repeating the same thing. Yeah. It is incredible how far we came, and now we kind of like stepping back.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Hey, that I was watching your videos the other day, and I went to the range. First time shooting my can. Came out of jail a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. Almost a year without shooting it. And it came out out in October. I used it like last week. Man, I didn't realize the end cap was loose.
Oh, yeah.
I had a baffle. At least I have a end cap strike, not a baffle strike.
Right.
So I was pissed. So I ordered a alignment rod from McMaster's,
Mm-hmm.
which is cheaper though.
Yeah.
The buying. I
Right.
mean, I only paid with shipping and everything like $15 instead of like big bucks. They were selling me for $60.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, nah. So I'm waiting on that to make sure. And I ordered an end cap, so make sure I don't I don't hit that
Right.
end cap again. I was pissed because first time shooting it. So, but I'm looking forward to do one carabine section,
Mm-hmm.
1 and 2. So I'm saving a little bit of money. I have enough rounds to do that. So
Right.
I would do that definitely because I haven't shoot like that in almost 8 years,
Yeah.
10 years.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I told
Yeah.
my
Come
wife,
out
"Hey,
and,
I
come out
get
and do a
rusty."
class of this, man. I mean, it's on me. So you're gonna have to.
Nah, man, it is crazy. Like preparation, you know, it's just on that aspect of self protection. It has to be at least once a month,
Yeah.
or at least once a quarter. Go out and shoot
Yeah.
because it would go. You would go rusty quick.
Well, you lose like 15-20% of your skill every month, every 30 days. So you go, you figure you go 90 days and your skill is cut in half. Now you get it back in 30 minutes or an hour of practicing and stuff. But what happens if day 49, you get attacked at a parking lot or a Walmart or whatever, and then you have to, then you're fumbling and stumbling.
Right.
And I train a couple of times a week. So if I go a week without training, I feel like a novice, man, when I walk out there. It's like, wow, this feels weird, because I'm just so used to doing it all the time. So I take a little bit of a break, and all of a sudden I feel like I can't shoot, And I mean, I can, but it just, for me, it feels really weird, because I'm used to shooting at a much higher level. So
You're right. It feels weird.
yeah,
Like it feels weird. I haven't shot my handgun in. I have it in my car and everything, but it's just like I don't have the time. It's just rounds nowadays. It's just like $1 a piece. I use 7.62 by 39 because that's the old cheapest,
Right.
old Russian stuff. But it is expensive. My wife's like, "Are you going to shoot?" I'm like, I even count my rounds when I go out to shoot.
right,
It's like, I'm going to shoot 10 rounds. That's it. You know what I mean?
right,
10 rounds. Just to make sure it's 0 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't go further than 20 rounds because
God, I do like 500 a week.
if 100 a week, yeah.
About that, yeah.
But-
Just trying to, keep my skill level up. And then I do a lot of private trainings and stuff. So, I've
Yeah,
got a lot
we're going to touch on that.
we have a lot of private clients and stuff. So,
All right, let me do the intro real quick. Welcome to the show. My name is Julio. Welcome to the X-Ray Podcast. Today I'm having a 10-year veteran and also a instructor at the Viking Tactical here in Magnolia. Rick, welcome to the show.
thank you, Leo. Good to be here.
Man, we got a lot to talk about.
Right?
We got a lot. I want to touch on your background real quick, on your early military career, and also Viking Tactical, and what's going on in the United States with this Trump failed attempt assassination,
Right.
which I watched live. I was.
I did too.
You did too?
Yeah. It was, I literally had tears in my eyes. I mean, and I don't get upset about a lot. I'm pretty level, and I try to stay pretty cool about, everything. I mean, the house could be on fire, and I'm like, oh, let's get some water and put it out. I stay pretty level, and but that upset me, man. I mean, that like shook me to my core. In my lifetime, I think there's been 4 or 5, I think 5 presidents that have been attacked and either assassinated or shot or they attempted to, and I just turned 64, so that's a lot of presidents in one lifetime, to get attacked like that and everything, and so it's that kind of shook me to my core when that happened, with President Trump, and people have been predicting it, and I've heard a lot of people say, well, we hope he lives to get elected and everything, and I kind of, I don't get into conspiracy theories a whole lot, but anymore, the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is about 6 months, so it starts out as conspiracy theory, and then 6 months later, boom, there you are, so.
Or even less than that sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's weeks.
Right.
Sometimes it's just weeks.
Here we go.
I like that. I haven't heard that in a while. I haven't heard that.
That's the loudest ringtone I can find. But it suits, so it's a running joke with the people.
So-
They all know, like, all right, stand at attention.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Here, let me mute that one.
But yeah, I want to get your thoughts on that, like on the whole, what is your opinion, what could have been done to prevent this, and a lot of information came out lately about the success of the failed attempt assassination, and it baffles me how many people seeing. I don't know if you heard about now it's the two shooters.
Yeah.
One supposedly was in the water tower, and the guy at the slope rooftop.
Right.
And I don't know if you watch Redacted on YouTube. They came out with not a theory, but a compilation of interviews that came out on the news about what happened. People saying there were two shooters, one in the water tower, one in the rooftop, and it's very interesting. If you have not watched it, you just go watch it. And I was like, now it's two shooters. Now it's like we coming back to 1963,
Right.
grassy knoll and
Yep.
all that, the building and then the grassy knoll. It is, for me, it is just like, are we reliving this again? Are we in the verge of chaos or unifying the country? I feel like if we walking on that thin red line,
Right.
and I don't know which way we're gonna fall into. What is your thoughts on that?
Wow, man, anymore, you can't even believe what you see anymore with AI. I mean, because AI is so good that, and they can do things. My wife showed me a video last night of a cat running out onto a soccer field and kicking this soccer ball all over the place. And I watched it for a second. And I thought, man, that's amazing. And then I thought, wait a minute. And then I looked at it and I was like, no, okay, that's doctored. But it sucked me in for a minute, And these conspiracy theories do that because they sound so plausible, and because of the environment that we live in, it's like, yeah, that could happen, Yeah, I can believe that. But then, it's like, but did it happen? Is it misinformation? Is it the truth? Is it something in between there? So it's like, I don't even know what to believe anymore. And I think everybody's kind of in that boat, I mean, you don't want to go down those rabbit holes, chasing the conspiracies, but how many of those have proven to be true, And so would I put it past the government and the people in charge to do something like that? No. Do I know if they did? No, I don't. But would I believe it if somebody showed me absolute proof that it happened? Absolutely. Because there's some evil people in this world, and they're hell bent on wanting to dominate the world. It looks like, and there's just like this cabal. I don't, you hear they all the time. People say they. I don't know who the metaphorical they is even. I don't think anybody knows who they are. But we know there's some big power players in the world that control stuff, but it seems like the powers that be in the world, the people with all the money and the power and the authority that run things, do want to centralize their power and have this one world government, with one group of, financial gods sitting up on a mountaintop, dictating to we peasants down here, and dictating the way society goes and the way the world goes, and there's an arrogance to these people that is just astounding, the fact that they believe that they are so much smarter than the rest of us, and that they know how the world should go, and I don't, I don't know about other people's beliefs or whatever, but I'm a pretty big believer in God, and I think He's the one that's ultimately in charge. But I think He's sitting up there going, man, what are these people doing? So, but to answer your question, I really don't know. I mean, I think that we probably won't really know the truth about this, just like we don't know the truth about so many other things that happen. You know, I think they'll bury stuff, they'll cover things up. And the very people that are responsible for a lot of the nonsense, quite frankly, that's gone on in the world for the last 3 or 4 years, are the ones doing the investigation. You know, we've put the fox in charge of the hens. And so,
Right.
and then, so, you know, can you trust any of it anymore? I don't think so. You know, it's a shame. This is not the world I grew up in. And in a lot of ways, the people of the greatest generation that fought World War II, you know, the war to end all wars, just like the people in World War I thought it was the war to end all wars. But in particular, that greatest generation, those that fought in World War II, my grandparents and great-grandparents and all of those people, fortunately, most of them are no longer with us. And I almost am glad of that, because I like my dad, I would hate for my dad to see what's happening in this world. This is not the world he and his, you know, and his parents and grandparents fought for. This is not the world that we struggled for and that our ancestors struggled for to build. And I think they would be greatly disappointed that this happened on our watch. You know, I feel kind of guilty, you know, as a matter of fact, I think a lot of people do. We talk about this a lot, that we've allowed this to happen, you know, that we've allowed this to get to where it is, you know. So I think we bear some responsibility for that, and at some point we're going to be accountable for it. And
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to find out. I asked last time, my last interview with J.J. Carroll. We talk about, can we reverse the course that we're heading to now? Because we have now the temp assassination. We got our borders are porous, open. Everybody can come in.
yeah,
They're getting money, more money than veterans. They are on the streets right now.
right.
You know, and the theory about the replacement of the Americans are more alive than ever.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And I thought couple years ago that theory was like a, you know, smokes and mirrors. It was like, hey, another crazy conspiracy came around, and when he explained me why they doing what they doing about open the border, I was in shock. I was like, so basically they bring in new people, new voters,
right.
enroll them, get them IDs so they can vote in, and basically disrupt. That's his theory, you know,
Yes.
disrupt the elections somehow. And I was like appalled, like hearing that, because I never, you know, listened to that side of the story, and I'm afraid that we're heading that way.
Yeah.
I'm afraid. You know, right here we got Colonel Rich. You probably know about it.
Right.
Now we got the border open. Can we stop with President Trump? Can you think he can reverse our course in less than 6 months? Because they're already in.
Yeah.
He estimated over 40 million already in.
Right. And I think it's much higher.
That's he told me. Like he closed. He said conservative 50.
Yeah.
I believe my opinion. If we get half that out, it's a miracle.
Yeah. And I don't see that happening. I
I don't see that happening.
I think those that are here are, I mean, you know, they may be able to eventually send maybe 100,000. I mean, you're talking about a massive, you know, like moving it's like moving the entire population of Iowa or something, you know? I mean, gathering up that many people and shipping them out of the country on airplanes. And you know, the logistics alone are virtually impossible to achieve. And I was listening to JJ, and I've, you know, we've talked about that. I served on the border, and I've seen, you know, the people coming across and all of that. And there are so many more coming across, not at our crossing points, like at Eagle Pass, for instance. They go north. We worked out of an area called Quamato, and then north of there. And so anybody that doesn't want to be checked doesn't go to Eagle Pass. They just go 20 miles north, 30 miles north, 40 miles north, and the cartels just run them across the river. And they just literally wade across and travel through and get picked up, and that's that. They have drones, that thermal drones, like these very expensive drones. And we would be set up on the river, and it looked like like alien spaceships coming across. I mean, that's literally kind of at night, especially, you see the lights coming in, and it looks like, like spaceships coming at you. At 10 or 12 of them would come over at a time, and they would just park over the top of us because they could see us. We're camoed up and, hiding in the bushes there and stuff, and these things find us from above, and they just sit and they just park them. They lock on and they just sit there. And, I mean, they've got high tech, big time, the cartels do. And so what they do is they look and find out where we're at, where the Border Patrol's at, where whoever's at. They find an open area to cross. They direct electronically their people to cross at those places. They bring them across, and then they communicate with their pickup vehicles and have those vehicles, and then they scan the pickup area with their drones. So there's virtually no way to catch them. And so they can come across as many as they want. And I think JJ was saying that there were 210,000 Chinese members that have come across military.
Right, over 100 grand.
Yeah, and I think it's probably maybe closer to 300,000 because there's so many more that they don't catch or find or whatever. So it could be 300, it could be 500,000. I don't, who knows? And I promise you, they're not sending their scrubs over. They're sending guys that know what they're doing over here. If that's in fact, what they're wanting to do, to commit, who knows what, to blow up power stations or to attack our infrastructure or to just disrupt society in general. I don't know, but I do know that they wouldn't bother sending them untrained. So these guys probably know what they're doing. And the entire Marine Corps is like 168,000 or something, roughly. And you've got almost twice that in a foreign nation's military-age males. And that doesn't count all the ones from the Middle East and European blocs, Eastern Bloc countries, and God knows where, Africa, all over the place. And then all the cartel people, so. And Kristi Noem last night, the governor of South Dakota, was talking about the cartels setting up on the Indian reservations because those are sovereign nations, or considered sovereign nations. So the cartels can go set up inside the Native American reservations and do business, and nobody can check them. Nobody can do anything about it. So the whole place is just, the world's kind of gone upside down, man. There's some crazy, crazy stuff happening, and there are people facilitating that to allow all of these. It's what they call replacement theory, like you said. And so they basically want to replace white, educated, middle-class, working people. I think primarily they target us primarily. But I think anybody, and it may not even be racially motivated. It may just be the class motivation, the education level motivation, because like I said earlier, you can't enslave an educated society. So those of us that are educated, that do kind of know what's going on, that are smart enough to ask questions, and we've grown up with freedom, so we know what loss of freedom looks like. People coming from third world countries that have never lived in a free society, they don't even know what it looks like. They've never stood up to their government. They've never fought. We repelled the largest army in the world, in the revolution. But these people have never done anything like that, so they're much more easily controlled because they're not yet educated, but I think in 10, 15, 20 years, once they become educated and their children grow up and become educated, then they would have to replace them. And they would be in the same boat we're in, because unless they're able to just keep those people entirely uneducated, but that's the nature of that beast, of the socialists and communists in the world, and people that are just insane with greed and power, that want to control all of society and mankind. And I don't think we're meant to live like that. I don't think we're meant to be that way. That's what makes America the greatest country on earth, is the freedom to do whatever we want to do. You know, there's nothing, I'm not given anything, but nothing's being taken from me. I'm free to succeed and do whatever I want to do in this country. And that's why a lot of people want to come here. I don't blame them for that. You know, I truly don't. I mean, the immigrants that are coming over here that just want to work and have a better life, I absolutely sympathize or empathize with them. I understand it. You know, I might do the same thing if I were in their situation. I don't like the way they're doing it. I mean, I think they should come in legally. But this nation's built on immigration, you know, and on immigrants. We're a melting pot of every background, everything. And so I can't fault these folks for wanting to come here. You know, the ones that do just want to improve their lifestyle. I just think they ought to do it right. You know, come in the front door rather than the back. And we're the only nation on earth that just allows people to just waltz in and do whatever they want to do. But the problem is, it's not just people wanting to improve their lives. You know, it's not just them wanting to improve their economic and educational standings. And it's terrorists. It's people that, you know, crazy people, criminals, who knows what is coming in here. And that's the problem. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they are. We don't know why they're here, where they come from, really. We don't know their names, not really, because a lot of their countries of origin don't keep records. So how do you check that, you know? And so if President Trump, and I believe that he will be elected, if he's elected and they shut the border back down, that's great. But it's like the boat's already filled up with water, you know, and how quickly can we bail? You know, can we get the water out before the boat sinks? And so I don't know, man. I don't have the answer to that. I know that we were overcrowded to begin with, and now we've added 20, 40, however many million, you know. Can we sustain that? Probably, if nothing else happens, you know. I mean, we can absorb that many people, but our infrastructure is struggling. You know, our finances, our economy is struggling. We just don't have the money in the bank to bankroll all these people, you know. I mean, and like you said, we got veterans living on the streets, and these folks are waltzing in and going, you know, where's my check?
Right. I heard they're getting over $1,200 a month.
Yeah.
That's not counting housing and all the NGOs giving whatever
Right.
they want. And
yeah,
it is.
And how many people,
crazy.
how many 80, 85-year-old, you know, folks out there from that greatest generation are getting Social Security checks that are $800-900 because that's what they paid in back then. And these people have been here their whole life. You know, they may have fought in World War II or worked in factories, you know, to keep that whole thing, that machine running so that we could win that war. And they worked to help build the nation that we have now. And those people are living on nothing, and we've got total strangers walking in and you know, and getting on the dole. Can we sustain that? No, we are absolutely due for a complete and total economic failure, unless something miraculous changes. So, you know, can the president do that? I don't know. You know, I don't know if it's. I really feel like it's probably too late, but you know, time will tell. You know?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like it already, I mean, population United States, 340, 360 million.
Yeah.
I mean, we let in 50. That's like 20%.
Right.
I say 17% roughly
Yeah.
of the population. And that's basically like 1 or 2 states
Right.
full of people,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And our social safety nets already struggling. Have you seen Chicago, New York, California? They're already in deep waters on debt. You know, billions of dollars being pouring into the fire, trying to keep it low, and it's not doing anything. I mean, I'm very, very aligned with you of how long can we sustain this?
Yeah.
And it's unsustainable. I mean, they either have to work or get out, because there is no way we just keep giving me money every month.
Yeah. And I go to the VA, you know, and to do medical treatment and whatnot, and I see people waiting and waiting and waiting, you know, and the lines get longer, and then I hear about regular hospitals, you know, where there's no beds. You know, people die because they can't get, you know, I mean, they can't get into a surgical center. Or they can't get into, you know, there's no hospital bed for them. They have to wait, you know, and so at what point do we say enough? Because, I mean, you know, I mean, we just can't sustain all of this. So something's got to give somewhere. And I think the people running things out there, whoever they are, you know, I guess I better be careful. I'll end up on somebody's list. But I think they're trying to depopulate the world too. I mean, honestly, that's my personal thought on that. I can't just, you know, verify that absolutely, but I really do think that that's in the back of their minds. They're thinking, hey, we got to get rid of some of these people, because it just makes sense. I mean, the world can't sustain, you know, 20 or 30 billion people, you know, and we're approaching 10 now, I think, or somewhere,
Right.
you know, and 10 turns into 15 really quick, and then into 20 even quicker, because of the exponential growth and everything. And so I think there's people sitting back looking, you know, hey, we got to get rid of some of these people. So how do you do that? You know, what do you do when a country is so overpopulated that you can't sustain everybody, you know? And one of the things that's kept us, America in particular, so financially prosperous is that we've had land in big, wide open spaces, and people could move around, and we weren't all, you know, we weren't crunched together. You know, we were free, individuals were free to create and innovate, and so technologically, you know, we became very advanced. And so, you know, man, I think it was Ben Carson that I was listening to last night that was talking about somebody coming over here from France in like 1830 or something, I believe. And they were amazed that this little country, this little group of people, not only we ran off the British, the biggest army in the world, and then like 50 years later, and we're competing with the biggest empires that have been around since the beginning of time, you know, basically. And suddenly we're competing, and they couldn't believe how that happened. And so that's what's made us and kept us great. But we no longer have that anymore. We're overcrowded to the point where, you know, my gosh, I grew up here in Magnolia, or just down the road. I went to Tomball High School, but but Tomball was like 2 lanes. You know, there was a stoplight. You know, and then from the stoplight at what used to be 149 and Main Street of Tomball, there wasn't another one until 1960, and then there wasn't another one from 1960 until you hit 45. And none of this was here. This was all woods. This is, you know, this is where I grew up. This is my stomping grounds, you know, back as a kid in the 60s and 70s. And now it's like, it's just one big, long, giant strip center, you know, the whole world. It's like no matter where you don't have that open space anymore. Land is crazy high, you know. So what do these people do that just came in? You know, this 30, 40 million, however many it is. What are those people going to do? You know, we can't just keep paying them.
Right. That's what I thought. Like we cannot keep paying them. Where they going to live? Mm-hmm. We cannot build 40 million houses. Let's say 20 million, you know, per people. Or let's say 4 person per family. We cannot build 20 million houses in 4 years. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Where are they going to go?
Right.
I mean,
and the problem is, how would they afford it if you could build it for them? You know, even if we could build 40 million houses overnight, just, you know, snap our fingers and boom, there's a house. How would these people afford it? You know, because they've got to have jobs. And now, I've got a 24-year-old son that he works a 40-hour week, you know, and works his butt off, but he can't afford to go live out there now. Like, you know, when I was young, of course, I went in the Marine Corps when I was 18, so I didn't have that issue really. But But before I went in the Marine Corps, I had my own apartment. I was 18 years old. I wasn't doing anything particularly special. I was working in a warehouse, you know, and just schlepping stuff around in the warehouse, packing boxes and things, and driving a forklift around and whatnot. You know, I think I was making about $8 an hour. You know, but I had my own apartment, you know, and had my own car and all that. Kids now can't do that, you know, and so they're staying at home longer and longer. I think the average, they're saying like 40% of people 30 years old are still living at home, you know, and so how do we, you know, brother, you got me. I wish I had the answer. I don't know how we fix all that.
Right. Yeah. I got an 18-year-old and told my wife, like, we got to get ready. He will be here past 25.
Yeah.
That's we're looking forward to that already. We're ready because economy is so expensive. Gas is like $3. Used to be $1.80.
Right.
A couple years ago.
Yeah.
I used to fill up my tank with $25 on my truck. Now it takes $60.
Yeah. You know,
It is insane.
4 little bags of groceries at Walmart, you know, it's like $200.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
You go through the drive-through, you know, it used to be $6, you know, you could get a decent meal at the drive-through, and now it's like 15, 18, you know, $20, whatever. So, yeah, it's, man, unfortunately,
Everything went up.
I'm glad I don't have that struggle, you know, now. I mean,
Right.
I'm, you know, obviously older and retired semi. I mean, I'm still do the Viking Tactical, and but I don't even see that as work because I love it so much, you know. But and so financially, you know, I'm okay. But for people coming up now, man, it terrifies me.
Yeah.
You know, it really does. It's like, what are these people going to do? You know, and so there's a fortunate few that, you know, that manage to go to college and get a degree or whatever, or they go to the military, and hopefully that gives them something, you know, that gives them a leg up. But for your average guy, you know, coming out of high school, just going to work, you know, they got a tough road ahead of them.
Yeah, they have it rough. They have it rough. Talking about Viking Tactical. How long you been Viking Tactical then?
We've been about, I think, like a year and a half now, formally up and running, and the guys that my cadre of instructors that we work with, we've all been together, most of us 3-4 years, you know, been training together, and we were training, you know, privately, and then we decided one day, you know, it's like, wait a minute, I actually paid to go to a training class of a big, well-known operation. I won't say who they are, but I paid like $600 to go to this day-long class, and I went to this class, and it was just terrible. I mean, you know, I didn't really learn anything, and I mean, we just did the most basic of things, but because it was a big name, you know, they were able to, and you know, and I fell into that too. I thought, well, man, these people have a really big name, or, you know, big reputation. They're everywhere, and I thought, well, you know, I'm gonna learn some great stuff here. And so I was like, man, I can't believe I just spent $600 to, you know, to learn what I already know. And so we were sitting around talking about it. And it was like, you know, we could do so much better than this. We're already doing way better than this. So, and everybody said, man, you know, it's a very competitive industry, and you can't just go, you know, hang out a shingle. And I said, watch me, hold my beer. And we did. So, and fortunately, I hooked up with Adam Collette at the range. He owns the Renaissance Shooting Club here in Magnolia, just north of Magnolia. And he agreed to let us do some work out there. And a Marine buddy of mine, who's also a fellow musician, Mike Donnell, he does video work. And so he agreed to come out and do our video. And we did this he did just this beautiful ad for us. And
It's pretty good.
yeah, it's really good. You know, I was just blown away. And so I was like, okay, what do we do now? And, well, let's put it on Facebook and see what happens. So we did. We started putting the video out, and then we just, you know, put out flyers and word of mouth, and we started talking to people, and one thing led to another, and now we're rocking. I mean, we're, you know, virtually everybody in this area knows who Viking Tactical is. You know, they've heard of us, seen our video, or came out and trained with us, you know. And so we're building a really good clientele now, and and the proceeds from everything we raise, all goes to charitable, nonprofit kind of stuff, helping community service, that kind of thing, and training the public, and we're able to provide very low cost training to people, which is something I kind of insisted on because, there's not a lot of people that can afford to spend $600 to go, to a day of training.
Plus ammo.
Plus ammo, yeah, 500 rounds. I had, like the day I went, that's 500 rounds. So, and that's, with AR rounds, you're talking about 60 cents a round, basically. So I spent probably $900.
That's like $1,000
Yeah,
per
almost,
two,
yeah.
two-day training, one-day training.
Yeah. And plus the range fee, I think I paid that day too. So, and so I was like, no, we got to keep this down. And because we all volunteer, we're able to do that. So we're not having to pay any, our instructors, and they're all really, really great. And so the client gets a great product. I mean, they get to come out and train with just some real badasses, that really know what they're doing. And at a great facility, which Renaissance is by far the best facility around to train at, to get actual real world live training out there. And so it's kind of worked out beautifully for us because now the average guy, $150 for a pistol class for a full day or $200 for a carbine class for a day, that's affordable, and we can keep the round count down to a reasonable level, around 300 rounds. So it might cost them $300, but that's a long way from $600, $700, $800, $900, And
Absolutely.
so most people can afford to come out at least once and get a good day of solid training in. And then they can build on that on their own afterwards, and go to the range and do their own work and stuff. And then we do private lessons. I do a lot of private individuals come out, and it's like $125 for 3 hours, out there, and we are able to get in pretty much. What? Sorry, man.
You're good, man.
This. I put it on Do Not Disturb.
Man, my phone do the same thing. My phone is just acting up sometimes.
Let me check that again. I know I put that on Do Not Disturb. I'm like, what?
Nah, you're good. So yeah, I like that's your way you approach it is very conducive and in a way that people can actually afford that, because like you're saying, like prices are high on ammo. And talking about adding $500, $600 for a day or two training, that's plus food and all the stuff you take with you and your equipment, it piles up, what I mean?
Yeah.
You be paying $1,000
Right.
for just, and if you spend 300 rounds per day, that's 600 rounds per 2 days. That's, with prices nowadays, it's almost $1,000 in round alone.
Right.
$500 in round plus the fees and stuff.
Yeah.
Gas if you travel.
Right.
It piles up. So you do pistol 1, pistol 2, carabine 1 and 2 also.
Correct.
And
Then we do
you do defensive. You do defensive shooting.
Yeah, we do defensive tactical shooting is what we call it. I'm also an LTC instructor, so if they need to get an LTC, if they want to get their license to carry in Texas, which is a really good idea. A lot of people think, well, I don't need one. It's constitutional carry, which is true, but there are a lot of benefits to getting an LTC. But so we do that. We do a combined 2-day class where we do carbine one day and pistol the next, and it's only like $250. So you can combine, if you took pistol 1 and 2 and then carbine 1 and 2, it would be like $350. If you took those separately in separate days. So we combine them into one weekend. It's a little cheaper for us since we can just set up one time and all that. And so they can come in for $250 and take both days. And so that works out really good. We have an advanced carbine and pistol that we do that's really, really good. It's for those guys that are a little more high speed and want to do, cooler stuff. We have a blast doing that. And we do a lot of, then we start doing the SEAL Ranger kind of stuff, and CQB related kind of things. And we do something called a critical task evaluation, which is the Special Forces test that they give guys, the Rangers, Green Beret, SEALs, all that. That's the test they'll take before they are allowed to start doing CQB training and that kind of thing. And so it really tests people's skill. So if you can pass that, then you're you're shooting at a very high level. And so people love that. And then we do advanced pistol as well. And then we also, excuse me, well, we also do a night course, night vision, low light, no light course. Guys can bring their night vision out because a lot of people have night vision and have never shot with it. They've got thermals and they don't really, because it's just hard to find a place that you can go do what we can do at Renaissance. So we're able to occasionally mostly during daylight savings when it's gets dark at like 5:30 or whatever, so we can start about 6 o'clock and start shooting, and then we can shoot till 10. So we can get 3 or 4 hours of good shooting time in darkness. Because if you think about it, I mean, half of our life we spend in the dark, and the most likely time something is going to happen when you need to use a pistol or another weapon defensively is going to be at night. And very few people ever, I mean, not nearly enough people train during the day, and almost nobody trains at night. So it's kind of cool to be able to do that, and it's just a hoot, man, to go out and to get to work under the night vision goggles and just using regular white light and then just ambient light, just from street lights or moonlight or whatever, and it's just a different world. You get a completely different feel and a different look, when you're shooting at night. So it's highly effective and really advisable for everybody to do that when they get a chance. But yeah, we do some basic, like in my private courses, if I've got somebody that's never touched a weapon in their life and they want to come in and learn how to, just from literally, okay, here's the gun, it's just starting from taking it out of the box and going from there, we're able to do that, Most people that come to us have some knowledge. They just have never done anything high speed, or they've not done rapid fire. They've not been able to draw from a holster, that kind of thing, because indoor ranges really won't let you do that usually. So,
yeah.
And so the problem with that is people go and they shoot at 3 yards at a stationary target or 7 yards at a stationary target, and they think, oh, I'm good. Well, in real world, you're not shooting at a paper stationary target in an indoor air-conditioned environment, It's usually going to happen if you have some altercation where you have to, deploy a firearm. It's going to be when you least expect it, probably when you have your arms full or who knows what, you're distracted and all kinds of other things are going on, and you have to react like subconsciously. Your training has to be such that it's just a subconscious reaction, and you don't really even have to think about it, if you're going to be effective. So, but unfortunately, there's a lot of people that they go to academy and they buy a weapon and, they throw it in a nightstand. They go shoot 50 rounds out of it, and call it good,
Right. Yeah.
they're Wyatt Earp, man. They're ready to go. They're John Wick. So
I zero my weapon. I'm good. Yeah.
that's it, And they forget that there's a whole lot more to it. That, pulling the trigger is about 99 is 1% of shooting. 99% is all the other things. It's all the logistics and the mechanics and all of that. So, anybody can pull the trigger. But doing it effectively, another thing entirely.
Now, are you guys doing a casualty evaluation too, like first aid on your class, or you not?
We don't. We talk about that a lot. We can offer, and we do offer, like at the range for a lot of their tournaments and stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm the state command sergeant major for the Texas State Militia, and so we have a Houston Vikings company, which is where Viking Tactical came from. We've been around for, I don't know, over 30 years now. The state militia has, and so we have a medical unit made up of paramedics, EMTs. We've got a physician's assistant. We had an emergency room doc, a retired emergency room doc from St. Luke's. We've got top-notch people. We've got a fire chief that was 40 years as a fireman, and a fire chief, paramedic, EMT, all that. And so, and we've got some corpsmen and former Army medics that are part of that unit, and they come in and they set up a med tent out, at the range and handle all the boo-boos and the slide bites and all the different things that can happen at the range and stuff. And God forbid, we have an actual incident, or shooting where somebody gets wounded. But we're prepared for that if that happens. Somebody has a heart attack, we have a AED. We're all first aid certified. I can teach traumatic combat casualty care, TCCC, which I'm sure you've heard of. Stop the bleed, that kind of thing. I'm a certified instructor in that. I've got a lot of certifications for instructors. I don't always do all of it, but I'm certified to do it if I need to. And I have over the years. I've taught a lot of that. But we're all equipped to handle any kind of medical emergency that comes up. And we do show people how to apply a tourniquet and that kind of thing, and CPR, all of that. So
For me, that's the main thing. If you know how to apply a tourniquet and stop the bleeding, you did.
Yeah, that's 95% of the game right there.
Right?
I mean, the rest of it's just pretty self-explanatory. But if you can stop somebody from bleeding out until help gets there, because that's what happens to most people in traumatic injuries, is that they bleed out long, before help can get there. But if you can stop that bleeding or slow it enough to keep them alive, and slow that blood loss down so that shock doesn't kill them, or infection's like a secondary worry at that point. Somebody's bleeding heavily, so being able to stop bleeding is a big deal. Everybody should have those skills. I wish they would teach that in school. I don't know why they don't. A kid 12 years old can learn how to put on a tourniquet. I would think, I don't know why that would be too hard. So at least like in high school seniors, I would think that they would teach them all of that, because that would save a whole lot of lives if they would just teach, basic CPR, basic first aid, CPR, how to use a defibrillator. A lot of people have those. We didn't used to have those. Now they've got them. You can just carry around in your car. And and that saves a lot of lives. And so I would think that teaching the public those kinds of things would be very helpful.
It could be.
And that's one of the things we want to be able to do, but it's a little harder than it sounds logistically, but and it takes some funding and that kind of thing. But that's one of the things that we're working on, and that we try to do as much of that as we can. We also do ham radio licensing. We do that pretty much free, and we teach people how to get their ham radio license. I'm a volunteer examiner and all that.
Yeah, I'm looking to get one ham radio.
Yeah, they're cool, man. Especially last week when the power went out, because we lost. People lost internet. They lost, and so I was like, no worry. Flipped on the generator, went up, got on the radio, and started talking. And I'm able to communicate. We've got a network here, covers about 10,000 square miles, like about 100 miles in every direction. And people all over the place. And so we're able to talk and communicate with one another. And some of our members didn't have generators and that kind of thing, or their generators broke. And some people had trees down and needed assistance and that kind of thing. And normally most people wouldn't have a way to get that message out, but they're able to get on the radio, and we're able to check with everybody and communicate those things back and forth. And so we're able to help our team members out at least. And then some people had neighbors that needed help, and so we were able to, field teams to go out and help with chainsaws and that kind of thing, and generators, whatever was needed.
So let's go a little bit into the ham radio.
Mm-hmm.
What ham radio do you? Because it's a lot.
Oh yeah,
a lot of brands out there.
Right.
What do you recommend to be cost effective and not too crazy expensive? Not crazy expensive. Because I've seen one for like 150, whatever. You name it, different wide range. What do you recommend? At least, is this decently priced and it does what it's supposed to do?
Yeah, because I'm not. We've got guys that are like really nerdy, man. They just geek out over the gear and equipment and everything. And I'm not that guy. I'm just not. I'm a big picture guy. I'm not a detail oriented kind of guy. For some things and like electronics and technology. I'm from. When I was growing up, the phone was still attached to the wall, man. So,
yeah, me too.
It's like, me and technology don't get along too well. But I have an extra class license, which is the highest level of license. But that's just because I studied a lot. It doesn't mean I know a lot or learned a lot, maybe. But I know enough. And but yeah, I use a handheld. I use a Baofeng handheld radio, and like today. because it's, what do they call it, Prime Day. They're normally about $70, and today they're $46 on Amazon. So I put out a message to some of my people and said, hey, you might want to grab one of these. I've got like 6 of those, because it doesn't help to just have you having one. You have to have somebody that you're going to talk to that has one too. So, if I needed to give them out to neighbors, if we had a neighborhood thing going on or whatever, I can always pass those out. But for my base station radio, I've got a $200 Baofeng 50-watt mobile radio that I hook up to a power supply in the house, and I've got an antenna that's up about 50 feet. I've just got it on a pole mounted on the back of the house, and it sticks up a little over the crest, but HOA doesn't care. But it's just like a stick. It goes up in the air, and I plug my mobile unit into that, and then if I'm going to be driving somewhere where I want to, if I want to have it in my vehicle, I've got a quick disconnect, and I just disconnect it and plug it in my truck, and I've got a magnetic mount on my roof of my truck, and
Nice.
plug it in the vehicle. So, and that works fine. It's like $200, for that radio, 210, something like that.
What is your range on it?
I can get on that one with my home antenna 30, 40 miles, 50 miles maybe, and then they have what they call repeater networks, which they pick up, and you can use a handheld and hit the repeaters. There's actually one right here in Montgomery. There's one in the Woodlands. There's one in Rose Hill, and then Conroe, and these are all linked. And what happens is you just transmit, the repeater picks up, it's got a lot of power to it. It picks up that signal, amplifies it, and then rebroadcast it out. So you could, on your handheld, you might have to walk on your front porch, maybe walk out in the front yard or something, and you could hit that repeater and talk to somebody in Texas City, or Katy, or Huntsville, or Huffman, or wherever. So it gets out pretty good, and that's just with a little handheld. The problem is when you lose internet and power, those things go down pretty quickly, and some of them run on digital, so they're internet based. So if the internet goes out, so do those repeaters. That's where the big radio comes into play, and having it really helps. I have a lot of I don't know, peace of mind, I guess, knowing that no matter what happens, I can still communicate and contact people, and I can get help if I need to, and I can check on my people and stuff and find out what's going on out there in the world. So
Yeah, that's very nice, man. That's very nice to have that peace of mind and be ready. And be ready. I'm getting ready myself. It's costly, you have to get. I'm in stages now.
Right. Yeah.
I'm in stage. I got beers and stuff, and my pews, and now I'm gonna get on the ham radio. That's my name. Not communication. Once I have communications and stuff like that, you piece it all up. A little by little.
And if you're a digital guy that really digs, working online and using computers and doing the digital kind of stuff, you can talk to the space station. You can talk to people on the space station from a radio right here. You can literally talk to,
That's wild, man.
It's crazy, man.
That's wild. I'm going to look into
technology. Fascinates me. I really am. I'm very fascinated with it, but I just don't, I don't have the patience, I think, to sit and learn how to mess with it, because I stay very busy. I got so much stuff going on. So I just don't have time to learn that stuff. So I kind of tend to, lean towards more just simple stuff, but for people that have time and like to really get into that stuff, you can talk to Australia. You can talk to people in Russia, Hawaii, wherever. Anywhere in the world, and now in outer space, and so it's kind of cool. But mainly though for emergencies, which we just saw, with Beryl coming through last week, we saw, the catastrophic damage that was done, and I don't know how long. Were you without power at all, or?
I went without power, I would say a week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was 6 days.
But I have solar power and the battery.
Right.
So I was able to at least, keep my fridge running and couple necessities,
Right.
items in the house. But yeah, I mean, we run the AC in the morning.
Yeah.
That's what we did. We run in the morning when the sun was high.
Yeah.
Then 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I was just like, let me charge the battery.
Right.
And then stop it. But at least keep the house not too hot. But even though my house was like almost 80 degrees,
Right.
because it was, I couldn't keep running, it take too much power.
Yeah.
The AC does. So it drained my battery either. I spend the night without battery, or at least I keep it like a happy medium. So I was like shuffling back and forward, like try to keep it charged enough. It was crazy. But
Dude, if my wife would have had gone even an hour without air conditioning up, I'd have had to move out in the wilderness or something. I don't know, man. So
Yeah.
but we were running on generator and ran some. And
you have a generator?
Yeah, and I've got window units that we can use and all that, and I've got the whole house thing, but I didn't hook it up to the AC because I didn't think it was quite big enough to run the whole house, and I'm getting ready to kind of adjust that, but yeah, we stayed relatively comfortable.
Right,
So
yeah,
it wasn't
that's
too bad, but there was a time there though when we did, like internet was out, phones were out, everything was out. We had zero communication, sitting there in the dark, and so and there were a lot of people that were in that same situation. So the ham thing was really cool in that in that respect, that we could just flip a switch, turn on the generator, and power up the radio, and now I can start talking to the world again. And it's kind of scary when you can't communicate. I mean, especially
right.
when I was a kid growing up, and I've talked to my son thinks this is hilarious, because he's like, well, what did y'all do when, like when you're traveling down the road and you break down or something, who would you call? And I'm like, you wouldn't call anybody because there's no phones, He's like, well, what'd you do? Well, we get out of the car, walk up to somebody's door, knock on a door and say, excuse me, having a car trouble, could I borrow your phone? And then hopefully they had a phone because not everybody did back then. And then, they invite you into their house, but, they invite you in, you make a call and he's like, well, what if you call and they're not there? I said, well, you sit around and wait until somebody gets there. And so if they're out of town for the weekend, you just don't get in touch with them until Monday morning. I mean, that's the way life was. We didn't have the reliance on stuff that we have now, and in a lot of ways it was better. Some ways not so much. I mean, I do dig the fact that I'm able to communicate with anybody anytime, anywhere, and that is, it's a convenience, but it's also a time suck, and it's a big trap that you go down that hole, man, and I mean, I don't know how many hours of my life I've wasted, but I'm sure it's a lot, just staring at that thing and doing this,
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so.
We all has been victim of swiping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But but like back in the day, if I came up and knocked on your door, in the 70s, and knocked on your door and said, hey, I'm having a car trouble, you wouldn't think twice about inviting me in. You'd probably ask me to stay for dinner, and while I'm waiting on some help to arrive. And I mean, that's how life was. That was the world we lived in. You try to do that today. Number one, I go knock on some stranger's door, they're not going to answer, probably. Mm-hmm. And if they do, they're going to have a gun with them, right. And they're definitely not letting me in their house, and they're probably not even going to let me borrow their cell phone. So that's the difference in the worlds. The two, two different worlds that, and I've seen both sides of it. And so, and there's good and bad on both sides, but I kind of like the old way better. Where we didn't have all the worry and stuff, but yeah, communication. I don't know what would happen, man. I saw people on Nextdoor and the other apps and stuff just freaking out, losing their minds because they didn't have internet. And I'm thinking, man, there's people, that are dying from the heat and don't have power and everything else, and your greatest concern in life is the internet, And I mean, I get it. It's it's cool to have it, but it's not like a major thing, but that's how conditioned our world is to, so imagine one day if the government just decides to turn it off for whatever reason, if they didn't want us communicating for whatever reason, and they just turn the internet off. I think there would be a mental health crisis like you've never seen before.
Yeah, it would be chaotic. It would be. Can you fix it, Mike? Just put it like.
Oh, yeah.
Face it your way. More.
Okay.
More.
More?
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Right there?
Yeah, you good. Okay. Yeah, but I was about that was my follow-up question on what if EMP, what if a civil war break out?
Right?
What if terrorist attack?
Yeah.
In your opinion, what is going to happen next? I mean, you know, in every war situation, they cut off two things: power and communications. That's the first thing that goes out.
Right.
Then
Absolutely.
Then you work logistic,
Yeah.
supply lines, and
Right.
and whatnot.
Supply lines, communication, that's first things.
Command,
Yep.
control, and power.
Yep.
It goes out.
Right.
What is going to happen to the population, especially in downtown areas? Because we kind of far from downtown. We're far away. What's going to happen if they turn off they pull the plug?
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Interesting question, and I've been like, I don't know, I don't like the term prepper necessarily, but I guess I've kind of fit that bill. I'm very prepared for like everything because I'm just, as a Marine, that's one of the, I mean, you just, everything's got its place and everything's done a certain way, and I'm full aware of all the things that could happen, all the possibilities, and so like to not be prepared, it just seems insane to me. I don't know how people can just like be so oblivious to all the things that can happen, and they don't, like when we had the freeze, people knew like 2-3 weeks ahead of time. They knew that we were going to have this huge freeze. And the day of the freeze, people are raising hell because they can't get a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread. And I'm like, where have you been? Like why would you wait? And then they're screaming because we don't have firewood and we're cold. Why would you not prepare for that? And so it's kind of the same thing. And people don't realize that there's no catastrophe that can happen that is a real, that reaches the level of being a catastrophe that does not involve the power going out, all right, and the internet, all right? Because if the power's on and the internet's on, it's not really a catastrophe because you can put things back into place pretty quickly. You've got fuel, food, services, transportation, delivery, all those kinds of things are still going on, all right? But the minute you lose the internet and you lose power, you lose all of those things. People don't realize that truckers are paid via the internet, all right? So they're out there driving the roads of America, delivering their goods and whatnot, and they can't buy fuel without electronic payment. And electronic payment requires the internet, They're not driving around with $1,000 of cash in their pocket to buy fuel for their next load. So all transportation of goods stops immediately. If you're talking about a nationwide, a regional thing, not such a big deal maybe. But on a regional basis, or anything bigger than a regional basis, the internet goes out, we're done. Okay, because transportation comes to a complete halt. Banking comes to a halt. All right, so you've got no fuel, no goods flow, so we're stuck with what we have on hand. And in Houston, we've got between 3 and 7 days supply for the city of Houston. All right, so, and 10 million people in the upper Gulf Coast area, the greater Houston area, I guess. 10 million people have 3 to 7 days of grub. So, and how many of those people have prepared and have, backup supplies on things? Well, we didn't know this hurricane took a left turn or a right turn rather, and nobody expected it. We expected it to go into Corpus. So a lot of people just didn't, they didn't know to prepare because we weren't thinking this thing was going to come here. But we had about 2 or 3 days notice. So, which in my mind is enough time to go get a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk or something, and then, right. But sure enough, Monday, as soon as the power goes out, people are like freaking out because they don't have groceries, they don't have gas, they don't have any, So personal responsibility has got to be, personal accountability has got to play into there somewhere. But as far as what's going to happen, there will immediately, as soon as people realize that the power's not coming back on or the internet's not coming back on, there will immediately be a very well organized and very orderly flow to the grocery stores. Not. It's they're gonna. You've seen how people behave. I mean, and so imagine inner city, especially. They're just gonna go insane. They'll run on the grocery stores. They'll run on everything. There'll be mass looting. Probably fires and who knows what else. They'll probably be killing each other over loaves of bread and boxes of crackers or can of tuna or whatever happens to, I mean, we've seen what happens at Black Friday. Now, imagine Black Friday, all right, on a massive scale across the whole United States. And that's what we're looking at. I don't think, I can't even really conjure an image in my mind that would be accurate enough to describe probably what we're looking at in terms of reality. People don't have water, and because if you've got no power, the water will eventually fail because you don't have any way to purify the pumps and all of that. So municipal mud districts might last a little bit longer, but they'll fail pretty quickly. Nuclear plants even. We've got nuclear power plants, and once the power fails and their backup supplies run out, now you've got meltdown that goes on, so because you can't cool the rods that power the thing. So there's a big problem there, kind of, I'd be really afraid if I lived close to one of those places. And then just, total chaos, man. I mean, and then probably, something that looks like an episode of The Walking Dead, pretty quickly within a couple of weeks. I mean, right. Mass migration out to the riparian zones, which is like rivers, creeks, lakes, all those areas where there's water. And then disease, because of lack of good hygiene in the field. All the usual suspects: murder, robbery, theft, rape, pillage, plunder, I mean, it's not a pleasant picture. Right. I mean, that's not it's even hard to hear myself talk about that, but that's a reality. If in a massive kind of situation like that where the internet goes down and stays down, then the power's going to fail. And then after that, devastation is what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, I didn't understand that term of downtown, living in downtown, like, preppers, because I've seen a lot of videos of prep. Mm-hmm. I'm not a prepper 100%, right. But I like to have kind of peace of mind. I got my stuff here and there. But try to stay away from downtown. That was one term that's one thing that I learned early. Mm-hmm. Because I came from Puerto Rico and we kind of secluded in the island. Right. But coming to the state when I joined the military and started seeing prep and stuff like that, one thing that I learned is avoid cities. Yeah. So most of my life I lived outside city limits. Right. Because of that. Because I want to run the chances that at least if something happen, mm-hmm. you don't know when it's going to happen, at least I have 3-4 days in advance. Right. Because like you said, people going to pillage their area mm-hmm. first. Right. Then they're going to branch out. Yeah. Once they run out of supplies, they don't find medicine, food, water, mm-hmm. they're going to start going to the country. Right. You know what I mean? Inland and out of the country. And that's when a lot of people going to learn quick. Yeah. How to defend themselves. Because farmers would defend themselves. Yeah. Ranchers would, they're mm-hmm. going to, because they have cattle. Right. We're going back to the barter system. Yeah. That's their livelihood. That's, sure. They're going to barter fuel for cattle or whatnot. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are going to go out to the country mm-hmm. and start robbing, killing, stealing cows, stuff like that because it's going to be crazy. Yeah. They'll kill every animal they see, I mean, they won't have any, I mean, so you kill a deer today and because you don't know how to preserve it, it'll go bad in a day or two. So every day or two, you got to kill another deer or a hog or whatever. And so how long, I mean, and we've got 30 million of our closest friends here in Texas, pretty well armed out there, all running around in the woods, slaughtering everything in sight. And, in the Great Depression, which there was only I think about 20% unemployment in the Great Depression. And
varmints and small game almost went extinct.
I didn't know
With
that.
just 20% of the population being unemployed, they killed I mean, we almost don't have squirrels or rabbits or coons or possums or any of that because people were killing them and eating them, and deer, and the game population dropped to like near extinction levels in a lot of places, and that was just with the 20% unemployment. Imagine if, like
100%.
total collapse, what's going to happen to all that game? And then granted, we've got cows, I mean, we've got millions of cows and sheep and goats and all that, but still, you've got 350 million people that got to eat, And so the estimates are that from, again, they say that like 90% would be dead within a year, because of disease or injury or, starvation, exposure to the elements. I mean, imagine if it happens in winter. How do you survive? People don't think about all that stuff. What are you going to do? How are you going to, keep yourself warm? You need some basic things. You need security, shelter, water, food, basically.
That's the basics,
the main stuff. But how do you get that? And if you have to stay on the move in particular because of roving gangs or thugs or who knows what's going on out there, and if you have to go deep into the woods and hide or whatever, so it's pretty problematic, and people that aren't trained, people that have no, for instance, land navigation. I mean, if you don't know how to use a compass and get from point A to point B,
you're screwed.
Yeah, you are really screwed. And so, and if you don't have help, and I have a lot of people say, well, I've got 15 guns. So I'm like, well, how many can you shoot at once? How many doors to your house can you cover at once? Can your wife shoot? And even if you both can shoot, who's going to stay awake
all night?
And at what point do you collapse because you can't stay awake forever? So, it's just not, people's ideas about things are not very realistic. Sometimes they really don't think it out, and so that's one of the things that we do is we teach people how to set up their home defense systems, but mainly we have a mutual assistance group. So, we've got something to do and somewhere to go if things, go south. I mean, we can all band together and we can take care of each other, and everybody should have groups, their own groups of people that, that they can count on, because individual family units like, husband, wife, 2 kids, the traditional family, you're not going to make it out there. If you have to go, Mad Max world out there, you're not going to do very well.
Right.
You need a group and groups of people that are trained and properly equipped and that have some skills, medical skills and survival skills, how to
Carpentry, welding, all this stuff.
All of that, yeah.
All that.
You've got to be able to basically walk out with a pack on your back, walk off with your family into the wilderness out there and
Try to make it through the winter.
Yeah, and try to survive. So it could get ugly, so
Yeah.
especially if you don't have any training,
Just thinking about it, it just, people be like, hey, that will never happen in the United States. But
Yeah.
if you're looking at today's climate in the United States, it seems closer than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you would have told me 10 years ago, hey, Julio, we're going to have open borders 2020, 50 million people will arrive within 3 or 4 years, and it will be way different than it is now. 10 years ago, I'd be like, come on, Rick.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of movie is that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Now we're looking at that, and we're like, we're close to chaos. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Right.
What if?
Yeah.
Not if. I think it's a matter of when it's going to happen.
Exactly. And
That's what I'm afraid of.
yeah.
When it's going to.
And I know I'm just a ray of sunshine over here, but
But
it's the truth. It's reality. People need to hear the truth, and because they don't hear it often enough, and they hear people say, "Oh, that'll never happen." Well, okay, and I tell people this all the time. Tell me why. Tell me how we are going to sustain this world that we've created for ourselves here, because we've built until we can't hardly build anymore. There's hardly a tree left as it is. We can't pour any more concrete or we're going to flood ourselves completely or overheat ourselves, because the concrete has a lot to do with both flooding and heating. We're taking up our farmland. We're reducing the amount of area we have to grow crops and raise herds, which feeds us, which is our most basic necessity. We're growing. We're letting millions of people in, and we're still growing. All right, and you cannot sustain. I can't find anybody to tell me how this is sustainable, any of it. And so, but they'll be like, well, we'll think of something. Well, that's not a very good plan. Tell me exactly, what is the plan? How are we going to deal with all this? Because we're 30-something trillion dollars in debt as a nation.
34 and counting.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then I hear people talk about that. Well, we need to bury the grid here in Houston. Well, okay, that's only about $4.5 trillion, because we've got 50,000 miles of transmission lines here, and it costs about $9 million a mile to bury those lines.
Wow.
Well, because you think about it, you've got to go through people's yards. You've got to go over, you've got to cut across roads and every other thing.
You have to avoid gas lines.
Move all that. And AT&T came in our neighborhood and laid the fiber optic cable and almost burned the neighborhood down. I mean, they destroyed everything. They cut one phase of my power, and
Wow.
and it took me 6 months to get that repaired and fixed, and cost a fortune. And they eventually made it right. I'll give it up to them for that. But it did take a long time though. But we had that throughout the neighborhood. People's dogs getting out, and I mean, it was just chaos. So imagine taking 50,000 miles, and that's just in Harris County. All right, that's just, or CenterPoint's coverage. All right, so wherever CenterPoint covers, that's their. All right, so they've got, I think, 49,900 miles of cable, of transmission lines. So you have to dig holes to bury, and all those problems in there. And then you got flooding and the water table, and all the other issues involved. So $9 million a mile might turn into $20 million a mile as things happen. If the original estimate's $4.5 trillion, you can almost bet it's going to cost $10 trillion. And so the American people, and I'm having this conversation with people next door, and I'm like, so you're going to tell me the American people are going to spend a third of will increase our national debt by a third, just so the citizens and the residents of one county in Texas can have buried power lines? That ain't happening. That's just a pipe. That's delusional. It's a pipe dream. So, trees are going to fall, power lines are going to come down, and, and they'll eventually get them back up, and, and we survive. But people are just kind of weird sometimes about, or just uninformed or misinformed, or I don't know, but they don't really think rationally about what they're talking about. So you've got all these issues that exist, an infrastructure that's in decay, an overwhelming number of homeless and these people that have walked across the border, an aging population, myself included. I mean, from the baby boomers, we're all retiring, and so that we're not paying into that system anymore. Housing prices are through the roof. I mean, rents are insane. Our dollar is gradually being devalued by the people in the world, China and Iran and those folks that are trying to switch to the yuan and use Chinese dollars rather than American dollars. They're trying to OPEC wants their petrodollars. They want to do something different, and America's always been the currency of choice. So when we become not the currency of choice, our dollar becomes greatly devalued, and so now it costs even more dollars. So I remember Mexico had this problem back, I think, like late 70s, 80s, somewhere in there. Like a loaf of bread was something like, 1 million pesos or something at one point. They had this runaway inflation take place. And literally the streets were just littered with the peso notes because they were just worthless, I mean, they're worth pennies on a dollar, and we could see that here. So I can't find a good reason that we're not going to collapse. I mean, I wish I could, but you know, I'd love to be more optimistic about it, you know, but I can't find any good reason that, you know, that's not going to happen. And it's not a very optimistic, it's a little pessimistic viewpoint maybe, but,
Right.
but I think it's realistic though. So.
It is right to think about how close we are, so we be ready.
Yeah.
But it's like you're saying, like it's when it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's not if, it's when.
It's when.
Yeah.
I mean, and every night I go to sleep, like, man, I might wake up in the morning and it's gonna be chaos outside.
Yeah.
And it is crazy nowadays. Now that we're talking about, I know we didn't touch on your military career.
Mm-hmm.
You served 10 years in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, 10 active duty and a couple years reserves. Yeah.
And what do you do, like, roughly? I know you work with radar systems, stuff like that.
Yeah, I was an aircraft, F4 aircraft, avionics, fire control, radar technician, which is it's the radar system that deploys the missiles on F4s. And I went to microminiature repair school where, you know, we work on our microscope and do the real fine, you know, repair of circuit boards and all of that, which I was terrible at. I was a terrible radar tech too. I was horrible. I was a great Marine, but I was absolutely a terrible technician. So I ended up doing every other thing, you know. So I ended up being the sergeant of the guard, you know, and barracks duty and the staff duty guy, and I kind of became a deployment specialist because I was very good at getting stuff organized and you know, when we would take our vans to go on deployment and things, and you know, just all the logistics stuff that goes into that. So I became very, very good at that. But unfortunately, I ended up deployed all the dang time because, you know, that's what I did. And that's back before. Now they have guys that are actually trained in their MOS to do that. I just fell into it because I was much better at that than I was working on radars. But I just never enjoyed. I don't even know why I ended up doing it. That's just, you know, they told me, yeah, this is a great, you know, electronics, that's the thing of the future. And at that time, it kind of was. You know, This is back in the late 70s, you know, so, and everybody said, well, computers and electronics, man, that's a great field. Well, you know, it is a great field. It would have been a great field for anybody but me, but I just didn't like it. I hated it. You know, just my brain doesn't work that way. You know, I'm more of a big picture guy. And so the fine detail work and things and diagnostics and all of that just kind of wasn't my thing, you know, so I kind of sucked at it. but I was a great Marine, so I was able to do all kinds of other things. The base, nuclear, chemical, biological, NCO, and, you know, I ran the training for NBC stuff and that kind of thing. So I found other things to do, but yeah, I had a great career. And then my last 3 years, I was a recruiter out in California, and I loved that. That was one of the more meaningful things that I did, you know, in the Marine Corps, because I was able to you know, shape the lives of a lot of people. You know, I was able to help people, you know, join the military and the Marine Corps in particular, and that changed a lot of their lives. I still get texts and stuff from guys that I put in back in, you know, like, I don't know, I think I became a recruiter in '85, and I still got people that I stay in touch with, and they're like, hey, Gunny, you know, it's me, you know. Just wanted to tell you how much, you know, that meant. And one of my guys even sent me he still had my business card. This is about 6 months ago. And this is like, yeah, literally like 40 years ago, you know. And this kid still got well, he's not a kid now. I mean, he's, you know.
Like a family now.
But yeah, you know, but he's like, yeah, I still got your card. And I remember, like, the day I sit down and talk to you, that's the day it's changed my life, you know. And that's like, man, there's no greater feeling in the world than that, you know. So to take guys that, you know, just were going nowhere in their life and you know, put them on a course that did change their lives. And, you know, I mean, it changed, you know, their entire history, you know. So it was very meaningful. And but I wanted to be an attorney. And I was going to school while I was a recruiter. And I was going to school, and I got a scholarship to a law school in San Diego, but I couldn't afford to live. And if I got out of the Marine Corps, because California is expensive, it was expensive. You think it's expensive now, and back then it was really expensive on a relative basis. And so I couldn't afford to go to school. So we came back here, and I went to work for Merrill Lynch as a financial consultant, and spent a lot of years doing that, and then ended up in the car business of all things, and ran car dealerships for about 20 years, and then I became the strangest thing I've done is I was an international hunting and fishing consultant. So, and I grew up hunting and fishing and everything, my whole life, and always loved shooting and all that. And so I've been hunting and fishing my whole life. And so I had an opportunity for this very old and established company that books hunting and fishing trips all over the world. They needed somebody to come in and help. And so I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds cool. And my wife had told me about it. It was one of her clients, and she's an accountant. And so I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. So I went and talked to him, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. I get to talk about hunting and fishing all day, So, and then that was going great. And then COVID came along, and it shut the whole world down. And all of a sudden we've got all these people trying to travel and and it was just chaos and nuts. And so it ended up shutting that down. And I was like, what, I'm just going to retire. So that's what I did. And but about 4 years ago, well, I was right with COVID. I joined the state militia. And because I just had a feeling that, number one, I felt like I was being called to, to do that. I mean, I just know that things are not going the way they need to go in the world. And honestly, I was just sitting around doing nothing. And so I had too much time to think maybe. But so I joined the militia and rose up through the ranks and ended up, recently they appointed me as state sergeant major. And so been doing that for the last 4 years or so, something like that, and just a great group of people, and we do all kinds of community service and work there, and but all of these things throughout my life have kind of led to where I'm at now. With Viking Tactical, I've always been a shooter, and shot. I can shoot long range stuff. I don't very much, but I can, and I'm very interested in teaching people to defend themselves and things, and then we teach a lot of scouting and patrol and weapons and tactics and CQB and land nav, communications, medical, all the things, all the normal military stuff, and we're situated just exactly like the military. We've got S shops, S1 through S6, and we're set up exactly like that. And we've got 6 companies throughout the state, and so we get together and train as a state, a couple times a year, and then the local unit trains on a regular basis, and we're able to do things like go to the border and help out there, and if there's hurricanes, that kind of thing, then we help out with that, and we get everybody CERT trained, which is community emergency response training, and then the FEMA training, and we get them all trained in that, and and we do really cool stuff like run around in the woods and shoot blanks at each other and, throw smoke grenades and, all the combat stuff, all that. That's the sexy, cool stuff that people join for. But really we do way a lot more than that. But that's the fun, sexy stuff that everybody loves to do. So, and I still get out there and run with them myself every now and again. So
right. I would like to ask you about, on the Viking Tactical, I forgot to ask you on what do you carry every day? What is your carry?
My everyday carry is I carry a PSA dagger, which is basically a Glock 19. It's just a knockoff. It's a little cheaper, but
it is good as they mentioned it is.
I love it. Yeah,
because I was looking a couple of days into that.
Yeah. It's basically a Glock 19 knockoff, but much cheaper, and so I got mine, and I like to tinker with them. I'm not a gunsmith, but I do a lot of work on guns, and I know how to fiddle with them and upgrade them and all that. So I did a trigger upgrade and some other things to it, and now it looks really super cool. But it shoots really, really nice, and it's almost too big to carry. I mean, for me, I don't have a lot of real estate, so It's a little harder for me to conceal, but I like it a lot. And then my duty weapon, I carry a CZ-P10F, and then I just recently, last week, in fact, got a Canic Rival S, which is a steel frame Canic, and that's kind of like a competition sort of a gun. And and then my CZ is kind of dressed out and dressed up for that. But either of those work really well for a duty gun. But just my own personal preference. So.
Right. I got a Canic, the SC.
Yeah.
The company. That's what I carry most of the time.
Right.
But I'm looking to get the Medi, the small one.
The Meta?
Meta. Yeah. I'm looking to get that one next.
Yeah.
Because the other one's kind of like you say too big to carry.
Right.
So I was like, man, I'm gonna give me that small one because
Yeah.
this one is already it's nice. Love the trigger. But it's kind of bulky on my sense
Yeah.
too. It's nice to have in the car in the house,
Right.
but to carry the Medi.
Yeah,
That's what I'm going next.
Canic makes I think the best trigger out of the box.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I by far.
I mean,
that rival S I just got, man.
Oh, it's
That's
beautiful.
the coolest trigger I have ever shot. I mean, it's like there's the trigger and then there's
And
the
the
brake,
reset?
and there's no play in there at all. It just breaks it's like glass. It just,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Oh yeah.
But they made the Turin Tactical made that Combat TTI with Canic, and that's a beautiful gun.
That's a
But I just had hand surgery because I've shot so much that I've created these things going on, and I get what's called trigger finger, and my fingers will literally lock in place, and so I've had to have the sheath cut off here and release this finger, and now I've got it in this finger, and I've got it in this finger over here. It's just
the gripping.
from shooting, yeah, and the recoil and all that. So that's why I got the steel frame, because the steel frame absorbs the recoil a lot more, and it doesn't pass that vibration through your hand so much. And I wear padded gloves now and all that to kind of cut it down. So I don't know how many more years I'll be able to keep shooting. I'll probably, when I'm 70, I'm probably going to hate myself, but but if I could shoot for another 6 years, I guess that'd be worth it. But I enjoy doing it too much. It's one of those things that I'm not really willing to give up. So I'll suffer with a little bit of pain, but yeah, and so the type gun people have matters a lot. It's got to fit their hands and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot into it.
Yeah.
It's a lot into it. Every hands are different, and
Yeah.
I need to work. Me personally, I need to work on not on my grip, but on my wrist strength.
Yeah. Wrist structure and
The wrist structure. That's
part of your grip.
The grip is good. I have solid grip, but my wrist is just it's weak. I'm weak on that.
Right.
I need to do more exercise and building that up, because that's my only weakness. On the rifle, I'm good.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's easy to shoot a rifle than a handgun.
Carbine's really easy.
Carabine's easy.
It is.
Talking about carabine, what do you use for your carabine?
I've got a Ruger that I shoot, and I got a PSA that I built. That's actually my favorite gun. I mean, it's just a cheapo, just a cheap gun.
5.56 or
yeah, it's 5.56, 223, either one. But I've got it's a little short gun, 11.5 inches, short barrel,
11.5.
And all that. But I love that gun, and I mean, it's light, it's accurate. I can do anything I want to do with it, and it runs like a Swiss clock, man. And I mean,
you shooting a 55 or 70 or 77 grain?
55s. 77's really more match grade kind of stuff, So if you're shooting long range or whatever, with a 5.56, the 77's a little better. Black Hills 77 makes a really good round, very consistent. But yeah, I generally shoot 55. So
55.
60. The 62s, the green tips.
Oh, yeah.
They're the M8 55s. But the range doesn't let you shoot those. So because I don't want you penetrating somebody's rooftop or whatever, which makes sense. So the 55s are a little more efficient for that. So, and I shoot 223s normally because they're cheaper. So.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, like I said before, I use 7.62 by 39. So I don't use 5.56 or 223. I should get an upper just for that. But sometimes I'm just like, I guess I'm falling in love with the 30 cal.
Right.
For some reason. But I need to get me one because my wife wants to shoot, and And I have a 7.62 that it shoots good.
Mm-hmm.
Had a buffer spring. I had a buffer in there.
Right.
And it slide smoothly. You shoot it, you think you're shooting a 5.56.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I will get a 223 or I'm thinking about getting the 6 arc
Yeah.
for my wife.
A lot of people shoot those. Yeah.
Getting the 6 arc because she wants to shoot, but me, I want to go hunt. So I'm like, oh, I might get a 6 arc just to hunt
Yeah.
pigs. But
So just,
what is holding me back is the price.
yeah.
I
well,
mean,
that and ammo. I mean, ammo
yeah,
prices
the ammo
for six.
the uppers, the upper can find it cheap, but the ammo, $1.50 or $2 round, I'm like, come on, man. So
Yeah, and the ammo is a major consideration anymore. And, I
there we
mean,
go. Hey, if you want some, yeah, you're good.
How you doing?
I'm,
I don't want to get in camera. How you doing?
I'm Rick.
Gabriela.
Gabriela,
Good to
that's
meet
my
you,
wife.
Gabriela.
Me too.
So yeah, so I'm kind of holding back on the 6 arc because of price.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
Right.
I would like to get one, but I'm like, come on. My wife would kill me if I get a
right,
6 arc and be like, oh, that's a nice, but how much is round? So I'm like,
right. Yeah,
if you
and
want
that's
to
the, oh, okay.
you get that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you got to be able to. You got to be able to afford the ammo because if you can't practice and become good with it, then it doesn't do much good to have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the key to
No, you good.
any weapon is practice with it, and spending the time with it and putting in the range time that you need, to become efficient and proficient with it. And most people just don't, like I said, they get a weapon and they've put a box or two of shells through it and then they throw it in the closet and call it good, break it out next hunting season maybe or something, and, so and a lot more people have ARs now than anything else, and that's the big deal with most people. We get some AK guys, and AKs are fun. They're a lot of fun to shoot. I like shooting them.
I don't have AKs.
Just
I have the ARs chamber 7.62.
oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But same difference.
Yeah.
But, well,
I
ARs,
feel they're more accurate than the AKs.
yeah.
That's why I
way
have
more.
them.
Yeah, the AK is not terribly accurate, but it's but it's a lot of fun. And it's consistent. And you almost can't kill one. You can drag them through the mud or anything else.
yeah.
They're
They're tanks. They're built to last. I have all mine. I have a Ruger, all American, 7.62 by 39. I have them in there. And I have 2 Creamers.
Right.
I have 2. I got a Howa 1500
Yeah.
and a 5 Delta Pro.
Yeah.
That's my beauty. That's my baby right
Yeah.
there. But
Oh, you can do some long range stuff with that.
I could do some long range, but I have about 100 rounds on the 5 Delta Pro.
Yeah.
500, about 100 rounds. That's it.
Right.
It just been sitting there.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to take it out and shoot.
Right. Yeah. You gotta put some time in.
Yeah, you can probably tell me where I can shoot past 500 yards because the most that I shot is 200.
Yeah. Around here, Houston needs a long range. I mean, you can go to I think it's American Shooting Centers. I think they have a 600, and that's and then Trinity Armory out in I think it's Cleveland. Yeah, it's over off 59. They have a 3 and a 450, I believe. Okay. And so, and I shoot like 300. I can't even see past that anymore. My eyes are not what they used to be. But I shoot a red dot at 300, and there's the steel pig at 312 yards exactly.
You still hit it?
And I can still hit it with with a red dot unmagnified. I
Really?
ding that thing all day long. Yeah. I've got a really cool red dot, and it works really well.
What red dot do you have?
I've got a Vortex Spitfire, and
Yes, Spitfire.
it's got the coolest. It's got an etched reticle, but it's got a little bitty tiny fine dot in the center, and most of them the dots are big, and they'll like at 300 yards they can almost cover up the target. But this has got a really fine, like less than 1 MOA dot, and it's just makes it's just a delight to shoot because you can hit anything with this thing, you know. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I think for red dot, I have a Crimson Trace. Red dot, I think it's a 23 millimeter. I think it's a 2 MOA or 3 MOA dot on it.
Right.
Mostly it's 3 MOA dot, you
Right.
know, but having 1 MOA dot like the one that you have is kind of rare
Yeah.
to find it nowadays. Because
Yeah.
pass, like you say, pass, shoot, 3 MOA at 200 yards, I can barely see a target.
Right.
Because it cover the whole, you know,
Yeah.
cover the whole target.
Yeah, that's why I like mine, and I like doing like precision, you know, stuff. I mean, we do a lot of fast shooting and, you know, combat tactical kind of stuff, but I like to do the precision stuff too, you know. So, and it's just I just like to test myself a little bit, you know, and see what I can do with it.
Do you have a magnifier on the red dot too, or just a
No.
magnifier, or just a
No.
red dot?
The straight red dot. Yeah.
What you would recommend me? Like, let's say you recommend me a LPVO for close range and long range engagement, or you rather for me to have a red dot with a magnifier?
The
Because
most
it's a big people talking about
Yeah,
like you know,
I
they got
use
the one
one-
power to 6,
Yeah.
or the red dot with the magnifier to 3 plus or whatever.
The problem with an LPVO is acquiring the target up close, because it's harder to, because of the magnification, or even dialed down to 1. It's a much smaller, you know, you don't have as much space in there. You know, your view window is not as big, so it's a little harder for people with an LPVO to throw up and shoot really fast. You know, to
Like a
pull up-
reflex shot.
Yeah, you know, like a reflex kind of a, you know, quick shot kind of a thing, or just a quick up. An LPVO makes it harder to do that. So a red dot for closer engagement kind of stuff is way better. And so if you can put a flip up, and I've got that same setup. I've got a flip up magnifier that I can flip up on my dot, and it, you know, and it makes it like a scope. And then when I'm, you know, shorter engagement, I can just flip it back down. And so for me, that works best. I'm not going to be shooting anybody, you know, 500 yards away. You know, now we learned to shoot. We shot iron sights, you know, like 500 yards before, you know, back when they didn't even make scopes. They made them. We just didn't have them. But that's all we learned to shoot with. So we shot 100, 300, and 500 yards with iron sights, and we, you know, wicked deadly with them. You know, we could really shoot. But now that they've got optics, you know, why not? Let's use them. But yeah, you know, I can't imagine needing to engage anything, you know, that far out anymore. Because, like I said, I can't even see that far. So, like, if I had a big magnified scope, I could probably see it, but I don't know that I could hit anything that far today. But, you know, so 300 yards is about my limit.
That's your,
You know, yeah. And I can do that pretty much without magnification in most cases, but having that magnifier makes it a lot easier, you know, so.
Do you shoot a long range? Do you have a long range rifle dedicated for that, or you use mostly?
I don't. I used to. I've got a 270 that will reach out a little bit, you know, but and I've got a lot of our guys are shooting. You know, they shoot 6.5s.
Yeah.
You know, the Creedmoor and I think not the Arc. What's the other 6.5? Not the Creedmoor.
6 Datcher.
No.
That's a wild card.
Yeah, I can't think of the other. Oh man, yeah, it's escaping me.
They got 6 Creedmoor.
Not the one, not the
Not 6.5, they got a
not
6
the Creedmoor, but the other one. There's a
Grendel?
The Grendel. That's the one I'm thinking. Yeah, we've
6.5
got a guy
Grendel?
that shoots that.
Because they got a different 6.5.
oh,
You know,
yeah,
they
yeah,
got a different
right.
6.5.
Yeah,
They got,
and then some of our guys shoot. We got a guy that shoots 7mm mag. He was shooting 1,300 yards. We've got a place up in the Panhandle that we go and do long range stuff there, and he was shooting 1,400 yards with 7mm mag. And we've got some guys with 308s and that kind of stuff, you know. And so just depends on your platform and your setup and all that, you know. I got a buddy that's got a really nice 50 cal. And
yeah.
that's
I had a
sweet.
yeah.
That's real sweet.
I had a friend with a 50
He can reach
cal.
way on out there.
Oh,
know,
yeah.
so.
I'm not spending $7,000 for it.
Yeah. I think his rig probably with the scope he's got on there, because I think he's got the big Night Force on there and all that. So I think his rig is probably,
About $20,000.
I'm going to say 14, 15 grand maybe or something like that.
Just
you
a
know.
Night
And
Force
then
is like
the rounds themselves are like, I don't know, some ridiculous price.
it's like $5 a round.
Yeah, $3, $4, $5 a round, so.
Yeah, I had a friend who had 50 cal. I'm like, man, I'm not shooting that.
But I mean, but when you absolutely positively need to stop something, that's, it's nice to have.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, a little out of my price range too for that. But they're fun to shoot. So I like deer hunting.
You like deer hunting?
Whitetail, elk hunts are cool and all that. It's a lot of work to go on an elk hunt. Like go out of state and all of that. So a lot of work involved with that. But just I grew up just hunting whitetail and we hunted squirrels and rabbits and all that too, when we were kids. But just whitetail hunting it's a blast. And I like to bow hunt.
You like the bow hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a crossbow, never shot it. Just sitting there.
Yeah.
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 I mean, bow hunt, I cannot shoot. My shoulder's messed up, so it's hard for me to pull.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I got a crossbow.
You're right.
Yeah, but having it shot like 2 arrows and missed one. I don't know where it went.
Right.
In the woods, it just like ricochet and just flew off. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I guess it's.
Well, the
enough for
modern
me.
crossbows that we've got, I mean, my gosh, you can shoot pinpoint accuracy at, about 40 yards is kind of the
limit.
outer limit, Well, they hear the bowstring, they hear the pop, especially with crossbow, they'll hear that.
When they
the
bounce.
mechanism, you'll hear it and they'll dip on you, and stuff. And because, 40 yards, that the arrow has to fly 40 yards. And so in that time, from the time you pull the trigger to the time the bolt gets there, there's enough time for that deer to move a lot. So if you're shooting out that far, I mean, you can shoot them accurately 50, 60, 70 yards, but they'll move, or there's a bigger chance that they're going to move in that time. And it's harder to make a good shot on one. So, you end up with injured animals. So.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. That if you shoot them a little bit low, so when they duck down.
Yeah, they almost always will unless you're close. But like 20, 30 yards, man, they generally don't run very far either. I mean, they go down pretty quickly because that crossbow hits hard, and it'll almost always go right through them, so.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I need to get mine sighted in. I need to because I've been dying to have.
There's not as many deer here as there used to be. When I was a kid and growing up there were just tons and tons of deer up here, and big deer. They seem to have gotten smaller over the years, but we had really nice big deer in this area, and lots of them. So
yeah, right here in Nickel Sawmills, I see deers lay on the side of the road every day.
There's still a lot up here.
Oh yeah, one day I saw like 3 of them laying down on the road. They got hit.
Wow.
So it is sad for me. It's like, and they're small.
Right.
They're not big neither. They're like less than 90 pounds.
Yeah.
So they're small.
Right.
Sometimes they just fawns. They just little babies.
Yeah.
So I pulled one out of the ditch out of here. If you turn like the gas station to the left, to the right, going back to 1774,
Right.
that a ditch right there, like 100 yards from the gas station. We
Right.
pull out a deer out of there. We were walking to the parade, and I saw something moving because we were walking. They close up the road, so we were walking.
Right.
I saw something moving on the water.
Yeah.
I was like, what? It's a little deer that got hit.
Yeah.
So Kerry would go over and be like, get out of here.
Right.
And it sat there. They pick him up. I think wildlife came up and picked him up.
Yeah.
So I call it in, but I got kicked in the balls because they start kicking. Kicking. So like, motherfucker, I'm trying to help you out.
Oh man.
And they kicked me in the balls. My wife was like, oh, I start kicking. And
Right.
just like, little fun.
Yeah.
It was fun too. But I never hunted deer though.
Really?
Never. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went once to my friend's property,
Mm-hmm.
and I was looking one way when I heard something ramble in the back, and I look up, and he was about 50 yards behind me,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I could shoot him, but I just decided to watch him. It's a 10-pointer. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. And
Oh,
he
yeah.
just looked at me because he knew I was there.
Yeah.
He saw my four-wheeler on the back. So it was. But
Yeah.
never saw him again, though. Never. We watched the camera a couple of times, and we never saw him back.
Yeah.
And he got harvest, I believe.
That's kind of a cool experience. I've done that before. I've let a lot of deer walk, and
Yeah.
you know, and it's a cool experience. You know, like you have the power to harvest that animal, but there is something cool about just going. You know what? I'm just gonna let this one go.
Yeah.
And letting them walk on off, and
Yeah, but hogs, it's crazy. It's too many out here. I think I went to a friend of mine's ranch. He was one of my guests, and he invited me to go to his ranch.
right.
And I went, and he's like, man, my hog, you see hogs everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There were hogs in his property.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, I got tired of hunting because no matter how many he kills, he just came back.
Right.
So, yeah, it's crazy, though. Now, I want to talk to you about, I know we touched about a little bit on the Donald Trump
Mm-hmm.
attempt assassination.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking, because I was editing, and I had my little, dropped down the little screen on my computer, and I was watching it and editing at the same time, because I do like 3 stuff at the same time. And then I saw it happening.
Right.
When I heard like a clap. I didn't realize he got shot until the second round.
Right.
Like sit by his face and he touched his face and looked at his hand.
Yeah.
On the second one, I was like, holy shit. And then he realized, he dropped down and he saved himself pretty much because Secret Service took like second and a half
Yeah.
to tell him to come down. But
Right.
it's crazy that he survived.
Yeah.
For me, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Because I saw the blood, and if you measure the face, my
Oh, yeah.
orbital bone in my ear is
Yeah, you're talking about an eighth to
If
a
it-
quarter, an eighth to a quarter
half
of an
inch at the most.
Yeah, half. Absolutely. I mean, he was done.
He was
but
done.
even at the right angle, an eighth
Well, it would be
or a quarter. I mean, could have done irreparable harm to him.
Oh yeah, it would have
So
take half of the skull.
so yeah, it's like and people are like, well, you really think God did? Well, I don't know, but I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in my life, and I've seen what I believe to be God's intervention in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different times, and I absolutely believe with him that is it. When you look at all the things, I mean, this poor guy, man, he's had the entire United States government attacking him for a couple of years now, and prosecuting him for every little, stupid little thing in the world, and just malicious prosecution and persecution. And he's been, dragged through the mud in a million different ways, and he just keeps getting stronger, I mean, no matter whatever they do to him, it's kind of like, and you may not be old enough to remember, or you may not have ever seen the Roadrunner and the Coyote.
Oh yeah,
cartoons.
I watched that as a kid.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
all right, good. Well, so and it's kind of like that. No matter what the Coyote does, the Roadrunner always comes. And so
Always get
Donald
away.
Trump is kind of like the Roadrunner in this case, and he always comes out, better than before. And so no matter what they do, it just keeps getting better for him, and for us ultimately. So I find it real hard to believe that God didn't intervene there, but I don't know. I mean, it could have just been a freak miss, but at 130 yards, that's a chip shot, for anybody that shoots.
Yeah, that's what we're
I
talking
can almost
about.
do that with a pistol,
That's what they were
So-
talking about.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very hard to miss from that close, So, but I mean, this kid knew he had to have known he was about to get shot himself. He knew he wasn't going to survive that. There's no way he was going to get out of that. So, so that made it tensed him up a little bit, And I mean, he obviously jerked the trigger, He pulled to the left, which is what happens when you that little bit of a jerk there, you know. And but thank God he did, you know, or things would be dramatically different. And I wonder, like, what would have happened had he been successful?
That's my
Had the
that's my
president
question.
died in that, what would the nation's reaction have been? What
Right.
would, you know, and I hate to say our side versus their side, but I mean, we are a nation that's like, you know, we're like a man and woman that live together in the same house but just can't get along, you know, that really needs a divorce, you know, and I think that's what this nation needs. You know, we've reached that place where it's like, I'm more than happy to have a discussion with anybody about anything, you know, and if they'll just be rational, you know, and be calm about it. But, you know, it's very hard to get people on the other side to listen, you know, and they may think the same thing of us. I don't know. But I think we've just reached this impasse, you know, where we just, you know, they believe what they believe because, you know, I mean, I don't know why they do. It's like, how can you not see this? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to wring their neck sometimes. It's like I look at people and go, how can you not see, you know, what's going on here? How can you be so blind? And you know, I can't explain it, but I just know that I kind of got to the place where I just don't have those discussions with people, you know, anymore on the other side because they don't ever want to listen. You know, they don't even want to entertain that you might possibly be right, you know, or so I don't know. But to me, it's like we just reached this impasse and we need a divorce. You know, it doesn't have to be hostile, you know. I mean, I don't know how that would even look or how you would go about it. But, and then there's a lot of people that, you know, that talk about the Civil War, you know, that we need to do this and that. And, you know, and I've seen what Civil War looks like and what it does to people and the violence and the horror of all of that, you know. And we had one here, you know, and
Well, we had two civil wars here.
well, yeah, well, I guess
had
so,
to.
you know.
We
So,
had to.
but, you know, I don't think that would benefit this nation at all for us to have one. That doesn't mean doesn't mean I don't think we're going to have one because I know there's too many people are too fed up, and, you know, and I think at some point, and it seems like the other side is almost pushing for that. It seems like the left, the Democrats, are almost goading the other side into that, like that's what they want to happen, you know. And I hope that's not the case, you know. I think it would tear us apart at the seams, and I think we'd end up, you know, like I say, we're living out back, you know, somewhere, and that's not a very good option. I know we're not, you know, I know people that think, yeah, we need to do this, we need to do that, you know, and I'm like, okay, but what happens if you do that? What do you do then? You know, who do you put in place? Let's say you go throw everybody out of the government, who do you put in their place? What do you do then? You know, what does that look like? I mean, and what's the plan there?
Yeah.
You know, you can't just go off half-cocked and just go do something just to do it. You have to have some, you know, some reasonable way of succession, you know, if you did do that. And so, and the chaos that it would cause in this nation and the destruction and the death and the, you know, and the violence that would take place is just, you know, it's unthinkable.
It's
you know.
unthinkable.
And I don't think it would be what people think would be, you know. I mean, I think people think, well, you know, we'll just get together this weekend and go do this thing and then we'll be, you know, and it's not like that. Wars, you know, wars go on for years, you know, and look at the people in Ukraine. I mean, you know, these people
been 2 years now, right?
yeah, a couple of years. And I mean, one day they're minding their own business and, you know, next thing you know, they're being invaded and at war for, you know, now a couple of years.
Same happened in Israel.
Yeah. I mean, those people.
Last October,
Yeah.
they were.
Yeah, who in the world would have thought, and like we were talking earlier about, you know, if somebody would have told me, you know, this is going to happen. Well, the people in Israel, I promise you, if you'd have told them that, hey, one day terrorists are going to start falling out of the sky in parachutes, they would have gone, "What? You're insane. There's no way that's ever going to happen." And
And it
yet,
did.
you know,
It did. I think
yeah.
it is. Dial back a little bit. We were talking about people don't see the reality, or they don't want to see the truth. It is a interview that happened 1984, 1985. I don't know if you've seen it. It's the so-called Russian spy talking about how doesn't matter. People gonna become so brainwashed
Yeah.
that it doesn't matter how much truth, how much proof you show them that what is going on, they will not believe it
Yeah.
because they will be so institutionalized. They will
Right.
not see the reality.
Yeah.
And he said in 1985, and now it comes to fruition because you have technology, you can see from different sources the same thing, a reality. And the other side is living in an echo chamber. Both of them,
Right.
both sides live in different echo chambers. In the middle, in the truth light in the middle, and people don't see the reality of things.
Yeah. And I think it was, I don't know if it was Einstein or Mark Twain, but somebody said that it's much easier to fool people than to convince people that they've been fooled. In other words, like, people don't, it's easy to fool people, but you can't convince somebody that's been fooled that they've been fooled. They want to believe the lie rather than believe they've been fooled. So, and there are people out there that understand that, and they use that to their advantage, because a lot of people just, they just don't want to accept that, their brains work a little different, or maybe they just live in the sort of a Pollyannish kind of a world that they just don't believe that anybody can be that evil. They don't believe that anybody would have, such a
Ill intentions.
just an evil intention, yeah, and or that would be that that would disregard, the human condition so much that they would just not care, and it is hard to believe that because you and me, we're not like that. I mean, we're I don't get up every day and plot and plan to, what kind of evil can I do today, and
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
get away with it.
yeah, and so we just don't relate to that, so it's hard to believe that anybody could be that evil, and so some people, you just, even though you can show them undeniable proof, and they'll still deny it because they don't want to believe that could happen, and I think that's maybe part of what goes on in the world today, with all that. So
Yeah, it is a big part of media companies and
yeah,
and telling people, orange man is bad
Right.
and racism and stuff like that, and people fall into it and people believe it.
yeah,
And believe me, way back when I was just like that.
right,
On my brain, 20 years ago,
yeah,
before I joined the military, I thought the white man is racist.
right,
Because I grew up in that environment, believing that is true.
Right.
Until I came to the States and I realized and mingled with a lot of races, white, black, Asian, whatever.
right,
Now it become like, I don't even talk about races anymore. I mean, I don't care about race.
right,
I mean, I treat you by the
And you know what?
character of your personality. If you're a good person, whether black, white, I don't care.
yeah,
I mean, you're a good person. If you're bad, whether you're black, white, you're bad. You know what I mean? So I differentiate race from I would say action. And if
Yeah.
your actions are bad, you're bad. I don't care what color you
exactly.
are.
And that's how most people are. See, because like I don't hate black people or brown people or yellow people. I hate stupid people. I would give it, if that makes me,
Right.
whatever that makes me. But I hate stupid people. But it doesn't have anything to do with somebody's skin color, because people. It has to do with people's socialization. It's like how they grew up, how they were taught, how they were raised, what background they come from. People have different ideas, and they behave in a certain way because of the way they're raised or their background, their upbringing. and sometimes it's just their own, crazy thoughts about stuff. But, and we talk about this a lot. I've got two half-black granddaughters, and nobody would ever have any reason to know that unless they just knew me, But I have no issue with that, I mean, I don't care. I don't see them as half black or half white or whatever. They're just my granddaughters, And I mean, I don't see the color part. I don't see color in you or whatever. I just see I'm just a man, And that's how I grew up looking at people like that. And in the military, you kind of get, it's more so because you know how that, I mean, it's just when you're in the military, everybody's just, we're just
Everybody's the same. Everybody's
we're
green.
just all stuck in the same stupid situation,
Yeah.
together. And you rely on people of all colors, all backgrounds, all races, whatever. And so, yeah, I don't care about that, and I don't think most people do. The people that care about it are the ones that want racism to continue because they don't want us to get together. They don't want us talking. They don't want us getting along. They want us divided because, and that's sort of the, part of the socialist, communist, Marxist manifesto kind of a thing is, you take over education, take over the media, you control information, and then you keep people divided, and if you can do all those things, then you can pretty much control, the masses as long as you want to. And that's what they're doing. That's what they've been doing. And they've divided us by race, by age, by gender, by religious belief, by sexual orientation,
Economic status,
by economic class, by education, by region, by, every little way that they can dissect and separate and keep people at odds with each other. And it's like, it's a smoke and mirrors thing. It's like, hey, look over here. Look over here. Keep you distracted so you don't see what's going on over here, And I think that's the biggest part of it. You keep them busy, and they won't notice that we're robbing them blind or whatever it is they're doing, whoever they are.
It's been like that for years. I believe I think we are close to the Great Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
People are getting close. This event that happened Saturday, it got a lot of people more close to God than before.
Yep.
That's like what happened in 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got united.
Yep.
People forgot their political views. People forgot the political or religious views. People forgot about everything.
Yeah.
They became united in one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this 6/11, they call it. It was 6/13, they call it now. It was, because 6/11 was the time he got shot.
Mm-hmm.
They call it now, the Great Awakening. That's the beginning of the people, getting more united. And and so much for that, like you said, was divine intervention that he didn't get killed.
Mm-hmm.
Because that closed. And I'm glad that he survived because we wouldn't be talking about different stuff right now.
Yeah. No, we could be talking about a whole different world of things going on.
Yeah, because I was afraid. My first thing in my mind was like, people are gonna get mad.
Yeah.
It might be people that they take it to the wrong, they
Right.
take it wrong and be like, hey, we're gonna go in and we're gonna take over.
Yeah.
Because 2020 happened. You know what happened in 2020?
Mm-hmm.
The magical violence appeared everywhere.
Right.
Now that they kill him, which was people predicted for the longest. People
Right.
been predicting it by months ago.
Yeah.
Like what's going to happen next? They couldn't put him in jail.
Right.
They couldn't indict him because on the day he swore, he swore on the Bible that he took over. They indicted him like a month later.
Yeah.
They already got like 1 or 2 articles of indictment on him.
Right. Yeah. 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 They tried to impeach him twice.
And 3 or 4, like 3 times, whatever.
And they call him a threat to democracy. Yet they have weaponized the Constitution and the Justice Department and the legal system against a citizen, the number one citizen of the United States, the president, the former president.
It was
at this point.
crazy, man.
But they
The
burned down.
Russian dossier,
Yeah.
the Russian collusion thing, that
Right.
never happened.
Oh yeah, the list is so long you can't even remember all this stuff anymore. It's like laughable. But they can during the riots they can burn down entire cities. They can.
But it's a peaceful.
Yeah. They can have mostly peaceful riots where they burn down a city, but they call us violent. They attack federal, facilities, but they call us violent. They shoot a lady in the face, an unarmed veteran, on January 6th. The only person that actually died on January 6th, which, but we're violent. They attacked the president in every way imaginable, including now trying to assassinate him, but yet we're violent. And we're the threat to democracy, and it's like, you can just bet that whatever they say, they're doing it. It's like, I don't even know how their brains work.
Man, if it would have happened in the opposite side.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what that would look like?
We got all the other side. There would be riots. There would be riots everywhere
Right.
against us.
Yep.
It's gonna be 24/7 on repeat.
Right.
The right wing this, the right wing that.
Yeah.
It would be on repeat 24/7.
Yeah.
They would have blamed everyone and their mother and their dog if it's on the right side of the story.
Right.
And I'm glad
Oh,
nothing
sure.
happened. I'm glad this country is in the same path. It's not left or right. It's just,
Right.
but
And I'm so looking forward to, I think he speaks tonight.
yeah, I
I am so looking forward to this because
Oh,
I
yeah.
think this could may well be the greatest,
speech.
it could be the greatest speech, the
And
greatest oration ever in the history of mankind.
It would be
you know?
epic. I will record
I mean,
it.
this could be like the Gettysburg Address. I mean, it could go
Yep.
down in history. And that picture, the iconic picture of him with his fist in the air. Right after I saw that picture, I said, this should be in
This
Time
history.
magazine, and they just announced
And it
today
did.
that's going to be on the cover of Time. I knew
Yep.
it the minute I saw it.
I'm gonna buy that magazine. I'm gonna
That's a
save
Time
it.
cover, man.
I'm
And,
gonna save it. I'm gonna
yeah,
buy the
oh, yeah.
magazine. I'm
Yeah.
gonna
But I-
vacuum seal. It's gonna be in my
Yeah.
safe. Never open. It would be just there because it's history right there.
But I do. I think tonight's. I think this could be a history-changing speech tonight.
It's gonna be unifying.
The speech doesn't necessarily change history, but it's just going to be one of those. I think it's going to be really cool, and I can't wait for that, man. I've been the last two nights have been pretty good.
It's been good.
I've heard some really good stuff, but
Yeah, last night was pretty good. Ben
but I
Carson
think this is
talking.
going to be this is going to be a real barn burner of a speech.
The cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah,
It would be.
And I hope it does bring people out. I hope there is this awakening that you're talking, because I know that there are some people who have been like diehard Democrats forever and have woken up and said, you know what, and I keep wondering, like, how do you keep voting for the same people for 100 years or more, and still keep voting for those same people when they're not doing anything for you? It's like, how does that even work? What are you people thinking? So, like, stop voting for these nuts, and maybe we'll get some change. But
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah. I'm looking forward 2025, 2029. That would be a good year. It would be, if Trump get elected, it would be good.
Yep.
It would be good. I think we're gonna dial back a little bit on what's going on and kind of guide us on the right path. But I'm looking past that. I'm looking 2028, 2032. Who's coming next?
I hope we make it that far, brother.
I hope so.
I really do.
I hope so.
I hope there is a 2028.
All right, hey Rick, appreciate it. Thank you for coming.
Sure, man. I've
And
got a ball.
I'm looking forward to take the carabine class with you.
Yeah.
I'm looking very forward. I'm gonna get my stuff ready. I don't have a chest rig though. I need to get me a chest rig to put all my mags and
Right.
stuff
Yeah,
like
you
that.
don't have to.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's cool.
it's good to have.
It's good to have.
It's good to
but-
have, you know.
Yeah, come on out, man. We'll get some range therapy in.
Yeah, I think for those that would like to check out his webpage is VikingTactical.com.
VikingTacticalSchool.com.
Viking Tactical. So Go follow them, check them out. If you're here in the Houston area, that would be great school to go to
Yeah,
because it's affordable.
yeah,
Compared to all the other ones, it's a third of the price. To be honest, I checked around all the other ones.
Right.
You about a third of the price,
right.
and the reviews are amazing. You have to go to the webpage, Viking Tactical on Facebook. Look them up. You will see the reviews. It's a lot of people talking about it. You will see the reviews, and I read some
Yep.
of the reviews. And,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and people are highly recommending you for the courses and.
Yeah, yeah, we have.
And that's good. If you people talking about good about you and defending you,
Right,
because I seen a couple of comments like, "Oh, it's gonna be a rundown," and people defending you.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
yeah.
That says a lot.
Yeah, we've got great clients. We've had DHS, the SRT guys, SWAT guys, law
if they come
enforcement
in-
guys. I mean, we've got a lot of heavy hitters that come out and train with us, and they love it.
That's
And we
good.
do have a blast. We have an absolute blast. It's a lot of fun. So,
That's good. All right. Hey guys, I appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. I would like for you to check out our different videos that we have. If you're interested in talking about border, I got an interview with JJ Carroll, episode 22 that already came out. Go check him out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and to the other one, be safe. God bless you. Bye-bye.